What's up, guys, and welcome back. We're going to begin our statistical research project. And without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So, consider these following claims that I have on here. Teenagers spent more time scrolling through social media than they do sleeping at night. Girls are more likely to excel in teamwork activities, while boys tend to dominate competitive sports. Yawning is contagious. Students who participate in extracurricular activities report higher happiness levels than those that don't. Students are more likely to remember a meme than a historical fact from class, and teens are more likely to choose pizza as their favorite food rather than any healthy alternative. So, how might you prove or disprove these claims? Brings us to this topic. Statistical studies, which is what you guys are going to be doing, are one way to investigate such claims. So, project introduction. This is going to be a project unit. In this project, you will have a chance to dive into the world of data and explore interesting questions. You guys have already had some experience with a few surveys in the past, where you did a survey for categorical data and quantitative data, and you produced some visuals, and that's pretty much kind of it. Now we're going to actually see if we can go a little bit further with some of the stuff. So with this project, you can do an observation, an experiment, or a survey. I have a list of things that we'll talk about, and on each one of those, it will say what type of study that you can do with this. And if you have something else that doesn't fit, you can always talk to me about that and get that approved. Your goal will be to compare different types of data, whether it's categorical or quantitative. So remember, categorical data are non-numerical things like colors or types of animals, and quantitative data would be things like numerical data, like heights or test scores. To find out if there's any differences you observe and if they're significant enough, you will plug the data into one of the two templates I have created based on your data being categorical or quantitative. So I'm going to go over these templates with you in a few days, but today we're just kind of talking about how do we get started on this. This is a great opportunity for you to apply what you've learned and will learn and gain hands-on experience in statistics. So get ready to ask questions, gather data, and discover something new. So the statistical studies process. If you are following along and you are not here this day, make sure you turn to the second page of your notes and follow along with the vocab you need to know for this unit. The vocab's words will be written in pink. So the statistical study process. Embarking on a statistical study is like setting off on an exciting adventure. The very first step in this journey is to choose a topic that interests you. This could be anything from sports, health, environment, technology, or even your favorite hobbies. So as we go through this process, I do have a list of suggested things, suggested items that you can choose, but you are always more than welcome to get your topic approved by me before you get started. Once you found a topic you're passionate about, the next step is to narrow it down to a specific research question, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today. The research question is the central question that guides your entire study. It helps you focus on what you want to find out. It makes it easier to collect and analyze data. So this is, I think, one of your first things. So for one of your first things to fill in. So for example, if your topic is sports, a good research question might be how many hours, and it should say do, not to. How many hours do high school students spend playing video games each week compared to participating in physical sports? So we're not just looking at one thing. We're trying to focus in on seeing if there's a correlation between something. And so if you do have a topic, it needs to have some type of correlation, not just what's your favorite sport. That would be what we did in Unit 8 when I asked you guys to conduct a survey on just a simple survey question. You were to put a pie chart and a bar graph and a two-way table and things like that. So this is going to go a little bit deeper and figure out does something that you're looking at have a correlation between something else. So you might say if how many hours students spend playing video games each week, does that have any correlation to them participating in physical activities? So you might think that somebody that doesn't play physical activities or sports probably may spend more time doing video games, and that may be the case. So that's what we're going to look into. This question not only clarifies what we want to investigate, but it also lays out the groundwork for gathering data and drawing conclusions. On the next page, I have some examples for research questions you can use. You will have a chance to look at them in a moment. But once we have developed a research question, the next step is to develop a hypothesis. In statistics, we often start with a null hypothesis. This has nothing to do with your own thoughts like you think about in science, or what you think the outcome will be. The null hypothesis is an educated guess, is not an educated guess like in science class. Instead, it's a statement that assumes there is no effect or difference in the variables we are studying. For example, if we are investigating the relationship between homework and stress, the null hypothesis would say that there is no effect between the amount of homework and the stress level. So it does not affect the student stress level. The null hypothesis, just to kind of go further, is in anything, it's always there's no relationship between whatever you're studying. In many statistical tests, it serves as a baseline or a default position that indicates an observed effect is due to a random chance rather than a true effect or relationship. The next thing we're going to look at in terms of vocabulary words is population and sample. So you guys are going to have to determine what your population and sample is. Your population refers to the entire group of individuals or instances that you are interested in studying, such as high school students in your city, but samples are a subset of that. So studying an entire population is not often practical, so we often take a sample, a smaller, manageable subset of the population. By carefully selecting a sample, researchers can collect data and draw conclusions that apply to the larger population, making our study both feasible and valuable. Sampling. Every individual has an equal chance of being selected, often done using a random number. Sorry. These are vocabulary words. Sorry. The first one is these are the types of sampling methods that we have, and simple random is always what we want to strive for, and it's where every individual has an equal chance of being selected, often done using a random number generator and is most accurate sampling method. This is a simple random sampling. The next one is convenient. It's a non-probability sampling where samplers are taken from a group that is easy to reach. So surveying friends or people at a mall or school. Most of the time, this is kind of the type of sampling that we'll do, but we should always strive to make our sample random to help our study with the validity of it. Another type of sampling is systematic sampling, and this is where members of a population are selected at regular intervals from randomly ordered lists. So if I were to take all of you guys and line y'all up randomly outside of my room and then have y'all come in one at a time, and then I select every fifth of you guys to participate in whatever I'm studying, to ask you questions or do an experiment or something like that. Another one is stratified sampling. This is where our population, so what we're looking at, who we're studying, are divided into subgroups that share similar characteristics, and random samples are taken from each subgroup. And then lastly, cluster sampling. The population is divided into clusters, and the entire clusters are randomly sampled. So you don't need to worry about a whole lot of these. These are just kind of, if you see this again in the future, you've at least heard it. You probably won't remember it, but you've at least heard it. The things that I'm probably going to expect to see with your project are more so convenient sampling, but we should strive to get simple random sampling. Today, you need to determine who you want as part of your research team. You can be in groups of up to 3 people. I would encourage you to not work alone for this project. This can be quite a bit of work for one person. Once you have your research team, you need to review your research questions on the following page and choose one that is most interesting to you and your group. When you decide on a research question to investigate, you need to come to come to my desk and get that approved. If you're obviously not here, you need to be in contact with people that you might normally work with to make sure they have an idea about what you guys are going to be doing. There are 20 statistical research questions on this list, and no group will be investigating the same research question. They're on a first come, first served basis, so whoever chooses one, that will not be allowed to be done again for that specific class period. If there is something that you want to research that is not on this list, feel free to ask. I need to approve it. Before you ask, your questions should be along the lines of comparing two different things. Look at questions I provided and how they are structured. And that is pretty much it for today's lesson. So if you were not here, make sure you ask people in your class period in terms of if you're going to be in a group with them or not.